Now for the brows, I am going to create two different targets, 1, 2, but I'm going to use a different technique for these ones. I will first rename them. It is going to be a left brow down, left brow up. I will create a third one that it's going to call in, just like that. But this one is going to be a little bit different. I am going to do a blend shape that goes down, but then I am going to divide that blend shape into 2 or 3 blend shapes. So first, what I'm going to do is to do a grab deformer from my eyebrows to the head mesh. I'm going to click the brows, the head mesh, and then deform, and then I will click wrap. That means that if I move my head mesh, that brow will follow. And that way, we don't need to be modeling the head and then the brows separately. We are just going to focus on the head geometry and the brows will automatically follow. A grab deformer is heavy, so at the end, we're just going to make duplicates of these movements with the brows, and we're going to change the grab deformer into blend shapes. I'm going to start with my left brow down blend shape, so I'm going to go to my edit mode, and I am going to grab all the loops of the brow. I want all these ones. I don't want to just grab the bottom ones, I want to grab these ones because this way I am going to maintain the volume of my brow as it is. If I only grab, for example, these ones, my brow is going to get thicker. Or if I, for example, move these ones or something like that, my brow gets thinner. So always be sure that you grab all the loops and vertices you need to maintain the volume of your brow. That's something very common. It's a very common mistake. So I will go to my front view and I will move all my brow down. What I want to achieve is a perfect straight line here on my brow. So I actually don't want this shape. I don't like this shape. This shape is not appealing. So what I want is a straight line starting from here on the middle of my eyelid, something like that. So I will move this like in that position, and then I'm going to move these loops even more. I prefer to see my smooth preview because that's how the final result is going to be. And I'm going to move this one too. So this is what I'm looking for. If you see, I need even more here. Also this loop. Don't worry about the eyelid, I'm going to remove that movement later. So let's check how this is going. This is going nice. I don't want to affect my eyelid, of course, so I will remove all that with my erase tool. I don't want any movement here on my eyelid. So I will remove all the movement that is in this eyelid. And if you see, the eyelid is not moving at all. I will probably smooth a little bit only. Now it's moving a little bit, but not a lot. And there it is. This is the kind of movement I want. I want a straight line. I'm gonna modify my eyebrow later, so don't worry a lot about these shapes. I know these shapes are not the best, but this is just a preview for now. When I do the blend shapes, I'm going to fix that. Remember that I'm going to remove the grab deformer. I'm going to convert all this into blend shapes. So don't worry too much about that right now. I'm going to smooth this part also. And this one, in the center. I want to have a perfect diagonal here. So I will smooth that. That way, when you move both eyebrows, it's gonna be a lot more organic. So always be sure to have like a perfect diagonal here. And that's it. Let's see how the smooth preview looks. And I like it. I'm also going to move the brow a little bit forward. Forgot to do that. Just a little bit, not that much, but yes. So I can feel also a movement forward. And I will smooth all these loops here. And this looks a lot more organic. Now let's create our brow up blend shape. So I'm gonna slide this one and click edit. I'm not gonna care a lot about the eyelid right now. I'm just gonna do a smooth, and then I'm gonna remove all these with my sculpting tools. On this brow, I don't want to go directly up. I want more like to follow the skull. So I will actually grow my selection a lot more. And this feels like it's following the skull. You see? I want to check if I do one on down and one on the up blend shape, I want this to stay at the same place because I want the same range up and down. So this is kind of what I want. If you see this stays on the same place, that means that it has the same strength going up and going down. So that's what I want more than less. So this looks nice. I'm gonna go now up and I want to remove all these movements. So I'm gonna select my erase target tool and I'm gonna remove all these, of course. I want to remove this loop also, all these loops. And then I'm going to smooth everything. So I'm gonna remove all these. I don't want to move anything on the right side. So I'm gonna smooth these loops later. Then I'm gonna go with my smooth target tool and I'm going to smooth this loop. So I'm gonna smooth everything on this side too. Okay, I'm liking this, but actually what I want when I go with my brow up is maybe to have an arc here, like something, for example, I want these ones to go a little bit upper, to have a nice arc. If my brow goes up, I'm now gonna smooth this area. And I probably want some creases here. As you remember, we added some extra loops to have some creases. So I want this one, this loop, to go in, something like that. And then this one, the other way. This one to go to the front, and then this one to go back. Then this one again to the front. And probably we're gonna end with a little bit on the top one, not that much, like just a little bit. So we have now something a lot more interesting, if you see. Probably I need to work a little bit more on this arc. I want to have the same arc on these creases. So I will move these ones a little bit to the front too, and this one a little bit to the back too. So I want to move the center one also a little bit, just a little bit, not too much, because with the right side it's gonna have a double movement. So you want to have like a half of the movement you would like. Let's see. Move this one a little bit backwards, and this one to the front. And the same on these ones. And I probably like my crease to be, right now it's like pointing downwards. So I want this to be pointing in the middle. something like that. That looks a lot better, of course. So this is the kind of movement I'm looking for. And this is how my left brow up blend shape is. Remember that we want diagonal lines here in the center of the eyebrow. So when we do the right side, it's gonna be here a straight line here. So that's why we want these diagonal lines. I'm not going to do the right side right now, but we're gonna do that later. And if we have these diagonal lines like that and everything smooth, it's gonna be a lot easier. So I'm gonna go now with my in-brow blend shape. This is gonna give us a lot of extra detail in this zone, and this is very important for angry expressions. I'm gonna edit on this one, and this will have a movement going to the center. So I'm gonna select these loops. Remember, I don't care about the eyelid, about the nose, about the right side, because I'm gonna remove all those influences later. So I'm just gonna see first what influence do I want. I want maybe something like this. So I'm gonna go to the side, but maybe it's too much. I'm gonna go to the side, and then I'm gonna remove all the weight from the right side that I don't want, from the nose, from the eyelid too. And I'm gonna smooth everything. I'm gonna smooth a lot this area, and I'm going to remove all the movement in the nose. So this is now a lot better. And now let's add some detail. And now to add more detail, I'm gonna push my brow to the front a little bit. Maybe all this area, this loop too. All this area, I want to push it to the front so it feels like more tension. Right now it's very flat, so I'm gonna do a soft selection here. And push all this to the front. This looks a lot better, I think. I'm gonna remove this one and I'm gonna push this a little bit more. And I'm gonna add some creases now. So my first loop, let's check what we have. We have like 3 loops here to work with. So the middle one is going to the front. This one is moving to the front, not too much, because remember that we are going to have a right blend shape that is going to also move this to the front. So it's gonna have a double movement. So actually this one needs to go a lot more to the front. And this one is going to go backwards. And this one to the front too. I'm gonna move this one to the front. And a little bit more this one. And I need to compensate with these ones too. I will probably do a smooth here. Smooth these vertices, maybe with my normal smooth. Let's see how this is looking. And I like it. So we can see actually that there's a crease there now. And that's what we were looking for. Now I will add some creases to the left brow down movement, to this one. So I want to add some creases here to make the model a little bit more interesting. So I'm gonna do it with this loop. These vertices are going to move out, just as we did with the creases on the forehead. And this one to the front. This to the front. This one something like that. Something like that, I think it's good enough. And probably I will want some volume here. Let's see how this is looking. You see now we have a crease there. I think for now this is very thin. This crease is very thin, so we need to play a little bit with all these vertices to make it look a little bit better. And this looks better. So I'm gonna leave it like that. We're gonna fix some little issues later when we do the mirror. We're gonna do some combo shapes to make this look a lot more appealing, but this is a good start. Now, we have 3 different blend shapes for our brows. It's down, up, and in. But this is not enough control for our character. We want even more control for our brows to be able to generate a lot of different expressions. For example, imagine if our character is sad. I would like to have something like this, for example. I want the inner part to go up, but maybe this part to go down. And this is not possible with the current setup. So what we're going to do is to divide the blend shapes that we already have into 3 sections. For example, I want to have the down blend shape to be divided in, mid, and out blend shapes. So that's what we are gonna do. You can create them separately, but I'm gonna show you a different technique. So I'm gonna start with my down blend shape. I'm gonna duplicate this blend shape 3 times. I'm going to click my shapes, duplicate target, or click Ctrl D. I'm gonna duplicate my target 2 times, so I have a total of 3 different shapes that do the same. They all are exactly the same. But I'm going to rename them. This is gonna be in, mid, and out. I am actually going to duplicate another one because I want a master, one that moves all the brow up and down. And I will call this brow master. Just like that. So this is going to move the whole brow, and this one's just a specific part. So I am going to select all the vertices that I want to have influence on the in blend shape, that is all of these. I am going to right click, paint, blend shape, and here I have my main blend shape. And I am going to select the left brow down in blend shape, that is this. And I am going to click Ctrl Shift I, or I can go to select and click inverse to select all the opposite vertices, and I'm gonna click replace to a value of 0. So now, when I move my blend shape of the left brow down in, it just moved this area. So I will do now a 0.5 on the next loop, because I want to have this loop 0.5 on the in blend shape and 0.5 in the mid blend shape. So I'm going to do the same process, but I'm going to assign replace to 0.5. So this looks a lot smoother. And now I have this shape here that is the in. So now I am going to go with a mid blend shape. I'm selecting the same loop that I will add 0.5 influence on this one. Right click, paint, blend shape. I'm going to click on my down mid shape. And I am going to click replace to 0.5. And I click flood. And then I want this loop to be influenced by 1, this on 0.5. So I will do an inverse selection of all these that I want to be with the value of 0 on the weights. Now I'm gonna do the same with the out of blend shape. I just want these ones to have influence. So I'm going to click Ctrl Shift I. Probably I have a little bit of movement here, so I also want this one. And I'm going to do the same. Right click, paint, blend shape. I will select left brow down out shape, and I am going to replace the weight to 0 of all the other area that I don't want to be influenced. So now I have three different shapes, that is in, mid, and out. And I have my master blend shape too. So a combination of these is going to give me all the movements I want. I did exactly the same process on the up brow. So now I have up, mid, and out. And together, they make the same movement than the master control. The same as we did with the down blend shape. I will explain here a little bit more about the process. So we have three blend shapes, the in, mid, and out. So I gave all these loops an influence of 1 on the in shape. And then I gave to this loop an influence of 0.9. I gave to this loop an influence of 0.5 and this 0.1. And then about the mid one, I gave here an influence of 0.8, 0.5, and 0.1 to this loop. So the summatory of all of these equals 1. 1, 0.1 plus 0.9 is also 1, 0.5 plus 0.5 is also 1, and then the summatory of this one is 0.9, but I also gave an influence of 0.1 on the out shape, so I also gave here a 0.1 influence, and this one was a 0.9 and a 0.1 from the mid shape, and then I gave all this area a 1 influence. So the summatory of all of these now is 1. That's why when we move all together, it feels like the master control, because all the summatory is 1, so all together they do the same movement as the master. So that's what we want to achieve. If you have a more complex or more dense topology, you will probably need to work a little bit more on the weights, but be always sure that the summatory of the weights is always 1. And the reason of why we want all these weighted like that perfectly is because it feels a lot more organic, and you can have a better transition between shapes. You see, I can modify any shape with these ones, because they are the same. And to finish, I am going to add an extra blend shape. And to finish the brows, I am just going to add an extra blend shapes. I see that if I move this one up, and if I want to move the down mid down, I would like to be able to move this corner. Something like that, for example. I am going to click Add Target. And this is going to be named Left Brow Mid in Shape. Just like that. And I am going to move these vertices to this location. And then I want to remove some weights from here too. So I'm going to go with my erase tool and remove all the weights on the eyelids. Let's take a look how it works in combination with other blend shapes. Now, we have a lot more control on this area.